guys. It's me again. Um, Today, I just wanted to come on and talk a little bit about um, the spiritual aspect. Um, I know I'm going to be getting into shadow aspects really soon. Um, but as far as spiritual practices, um, I just want to say, like, you have a very, very broad canvas. Um, I just realized my phone is in a different place, so like normally I can do this with my hands without blocking my whole face, but it's a lot lower because I'm sitting on my bed, and so it's a lot lower than it normally is. Um, so let's see. So spiritual practices revolve around things that feed the spirit. Like physical practices are things that get you to feel into your body, your physical aspect. Intellectual practices should get you into your mental state. Emotional practices should get you to expand what you're feeling, and it's the same thing with spiritual practices. So maybe you want to do um, uh, I don't know, a spiritual journey of some sort. Maybe you want to go to a camp. I mean, you can do religion that is based on spirituality, but it doesn't need to be just relegated to that. It's not a religious body, it's a spiritual body. Um, so that distinction is really important. Um, so um, Prayer is a really good spiritual tool. Even like Jesus talked about that, he taught how to pray on several occasions. Um, you can do, as far as spiritual energy pools, you can do chakra tuning, or cleansing, or chakra alignment. It's all part of the same school of thought. Um, I'm trying to think. Definitely meditating is a good one. Um, a lot of like grounding exercises, getting your energy headed the right direction. Um, let's see, spiritual cleansing. I know in the Catholic religion, because my grandmother was Catholic, so I went to the Catholic Church while I was very young. They do the spiritual cleansing in a way, um, through like confession, because you're supposed to confess your sin and then give it to God and Jesus, um, and you're supposed to be done with it. Don't hold on to it after that, which means like you're absolved of that. It's cleansed from you. Um, so if there is something like that, and I am not the master of all religions, I am not the master of anything but me, and I'm still working on that one. So here we are. Um, so if there is something in whatever practice you hold that is for cleansing, um, I know in a lot of like green witch practices, in a lot of Wiccan practices. My brother was Wiccan, and in a lot of like Celtic practices, um, and even people who do a lot of things in nature. They will do a cleansing practice called smudging, which is like burning certain herbs and letting the smoke fill a certain area. Um, a lot of the cleansing practices that I know about use sage because it is a cleansing kind of an herb. Um, so that may be helpful to somebody. Some of us use crystals and things like that. Amethyst is supposed to be a cleansing and healing stone. Um, and I have been attracted to stones since I was knee high to a grasshopper. I've never been that small, actually. Well, at some point I was, I'm sure. But not since I have been attracted to rocks. Rocks are my friends. If you've ever seen a crazy child with a pet rock, hello. That would be me. I definitely have an affinity for natural things. So for me, um, actually on my nightstand, I have a very large chunk of pink salt, as a matter of fact, which is supposed to be very cleansing. We know salt is a purifier. Um, so things like that. Salt lamps have become like a new fad. um, let's see. Other cleansing things. Water, 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 water. Inside and out, water. Water is so good for you. Not in crazy quantities. I'm not talking about like go drink 5 gallons of water. That's not going to be great. But definitely make sure you're drinking enough. Make sure you're not dry. And make sure you are keeping your vessel clean. And like Jesus like Jesus taught, the inside of the vessel is more important than the outside. Um, so make sure you're paying more attention to cleaning out the debris that you hold on to inside of you than you do with the outside, because it, in the long run, is less important. This physical body will die, it will stop existing. The spiritual body will not. Um, so whew, when we get to the next life, I don't know. I wouldn't want to stand in front of God or in front of Source or the creator of all and be like, well, I took a shower every day. It doesn't matter that I, was an unkind, sucky human being, but I definitely made sure I took a shower. I don't think he will be super happy with that. But, make sure that those things that are inside of you, those things that do cause that shadow body, and I'm going to touch on it very briefly here, but things that go on in the other 4 bodies that cause dysfunction, like from the physical body, we know when it's dysfunctional it causes disease and illness. We know the spiritual body will cause shadow if it's out of whack. We know the intellectual body and the emotional body, when they're out of whack, because they're so closely related, they feed off each other. They will cause trauma and ego, which are very closely related as well. So trauma actually feeds ego. And if you want a book that explains this way better than I can, read A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. And he gets into the pain body and how it is just supply for the ego. And that's a really, really good book. I would suggest starting there if you have any interest in metaphysics whatsoever. start there. It answers a lot of questions right off the bat, and it will point you towards deeper questions that you didn't know you had. Um, but in my experience, those things are really invaluable to know because, um, like like my most recent student was telling me, like, you can't fix something if you don't realize that it's messed up. Um, so once you realize that something is not working, it's not doing what you want it to do, it's not functional in your current reality, then you will be motivated enough to change it. And that is a huge step. Like addiction recovery is something like, I don't even remember the number. It was like astounding. It was like 600, 700 times more effective if the person that's detoxing knows that they have a problem and they want to change. Um, so just think about that. Like acknowledging the fact that you have a problem, that you're not where you want to be, that you need help to do something new, um, will actually make it so much more effective. That to me is just like, whew, that's a big number. Um, it's not just like over 100 times more effective, it's like over so many hundreds of times more effective. That to me is like bonkers. Um, so if we all look at the things that we could do better, we could all change, like as a whole, as a society, um, and actually become more in tune with the way we were created to be. Um, that's kind of exciting, I think. But we all know my brain works a little different. Um, so yeah, so for spiritual practices, use use your tools, you know, and really get to learn who you are on the inside. Like once you're centered and grounding, like beyond the dysfunction, beyond the trauma, beyond the ego, um, and really like look at who you are, look at what you are and the ways that you want to change. And then one small thing every day. Um, say you want to wake up tomorrow and say a prayer in the morning. You want to meditate in the morning. You want to do one thing, even if it's only for like 5 minutes. It does not have to be a life altering event. I mean, don't roll out of bed and be like, hey, I want to go run a marathon. Hey, I want to, you know, do something that's just like totally outside of your scope of existence currently. You don't need to do that. It's just the small little, like, I'm going to do this step today. I'm going to do this step tomorrow. I'm going to do this step the next day. And if, I mean, I find it more stabilizing for me to do the same thing for a while. If I'm going to pick up a new habit, I want to do that habit, say, it comes down to like, and this is like the root teaching of everything that I do, is you should have 4 practices every day. One for the physical body, which is grounding. One for the spiritual body, which is praying. One for the emotional body, which is meditating. And one for the shadow body, which is cleansing. So if you're doing these things every day, if you find a way to ground, if you get time to pray, if you find space to meditate, and if you can cleanse out some of this trauma or this illness or the ego or the shadows or whatever it is that you're dealing with, you're going to very quickly find that you are becoming a different person. Um, like you're letting go of that old life. You're growing into something that's much more stable and much more secure and much more resilient to the world. Um, and that's important. That's how we should be. Um, because, like I continually say, nobody else lives our life, so nobody else knows what we've been through. Um, so I find myself a lot being less caught up in my ego, which is like being less judgmental of things, more willing to look at other perspectives and different perception of situations. Um, you know, things that happen in life may seem cut and dry, but from two opposite sides of the spectrum, they may look completely different. I mean, if you turn a mirror around, what does it look like? One side is just black and the other side is reflective. So if you think about people in that dynamic, like what is this person trying to show me about myself? It starts taking on a very different light than the one that we usually give it. Um, so that being said, um, shadow work is going to be our next topic. I think I'm going to shorten that down to another 2 videos, like I did with this one. I think that's sufficient because we've gone over the mass amount of information, and we've also connected that to some of the information we're talking about now. So I feel like you guys should have a wealth of this information already. And if not, you can always look back in our list of videos and rewatch whatever you want. And yeah, I appreciate you guys stopping by. It's been fun doing this little series. And I will endeavor to post another video probably early next week, and probably I'll post the second one at the end of the week. Those are my days off right now, so that's when I have time. So peace, love, and much light to get rid of those shadows. You guys can do this. I know I have faith in you. If I can do it, anybody can. And I look forward to seeing you guys next time. All right.